this afternoon, jurors watched a series of graphic images from freak-off sex parties involving Diddy and Cassie.
According to Cassie, she was embarrassed by it. She even talked about, what would I tell my mom if something like this got out?
That video changes everything, because the argument would be, what do you think happens if she says no?
Yeah.
What do you think happens if she says, I'm not in the mood for a freak-off tonight. I'm not going to pay the dancer. That video is arguably the most important piece because it sets the stage when we're talking about coercion or force.
Diddy's family arrived at court early, standing firmly by his side. His twin daughters, Jessie and Lila, entered with their heads down, silent and somber. His mother, Janice, and sons, King and Justin, were also present, none of them smiling. The mood was quiet but heavy, a clear reflection of the seriousness of the moment. Beneath their composed expressions, the tension was unmistakable. And once inside, the atmosphere shifted quickly as the situation escalated.
We need you to step to the side. Step to the side, please. Step to the side, please.
Watch out, watch out, watch your butt.
Great. How can you walk today? Congratulations at NYU check. Give us a little space. Give us a little space. Give us a little space. Yes.
Hey, man, Sean, man, be good, bro.
Okay.
Charlie.
Diddy's family arrived at court early, standing firmly in support. His twin daughters, Jessie and Lila, entered quietly, heads lowered, their silence speaking volumes. His mother, Janice, and sons, King and Justin, followed closely behind, none of them smiling, their faces tight with concern. The mood was somber, thick with anticipation and unease. Though they maintained a calm appearance, the emotional weight was undeniable. Once inside the courtroom, the atmosphere grew even more intense, emotions rising beneath the surface as the proceedings escalated. It was a quiet yet powerful moment, foreshadowing the dramatic events to come.
What makes him unique, though?
Sure, but is that what he's doing? Is he running an entertainment and fashion industry, or is he running essentially a criminal organization?
By the way, we have a poll up right now. You can participate in it. Do you think Cassie Ventura was a victim or partner in this? Ready for this? 82%. Well, this doesn't make sense. 82% say yes. I don't know if that's yes to, I think we need clarification. 82% say victim or partner. We'll get a clarification on that.
By the way,
right now.
But that's my answer to that question.
Oh,
Was
okay.
she a victim or a
82%
partner?
say victim. 82% say victim. Maybe based on we're reporting on the testimony right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think she is a victim if the allegations are true, but also she is involved in some of the criminal act. I mean, she's getting those prostitutes, right? She's making payments to them, allegedly. She's having them come. So she's involved in some of the alleged criminal activity. And that's an interesting point that wouldn't just apply to her. Other people in his orbit might be some combination of victim and co-conspirator.
But you know what? That video changes everything, because the argument would be, what do you think happens if she says no?
Yeah.
What do you think happens if she says, I'm not in the mood for a freak-off tonight. I'm not going to pay the dancer. That's what's going to happen. That video is arguably the most important piece of evidence because it sets the stage when we're talking about coercion or force.
The courtroom listened intently as Cassie described how fear had kept her silent for so long. She never claimed that Diddy explicitly threatened her by saying, "Do this or I'll leak the video." That missing direct link may pose a significant challenge for prosecutors. It places the case in a complex legal gray area. Now, jurors must decide whether implied fear and psychological pressure qualify as coercion, or if the law requires clear, undeniable proof of a threat to take action. The outcome may hinge on how they interpret silence, fear, and influence within this delicate context.
Just now, an update from court. Prosecutor asked Cassie Ventura, how would he keep tabs on you? To which she apparently responds, he didn't live far apart. We didn't live far apart. He'd send security to come find me or a trusted assistant. Like who? David James, Christina Courtroom, who we all know has been a central figure in this case. Maybe not the criminal case, but she's come up in lawsuits before. The prosecutor asks her, was your relationship exclusive? Ventura replies, no. If she's naming names like David James or Christina Coram, do they have to testify, you think?
I don't think they have to testify, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I would think this is all planned out, that she's going to indicate some people and then the prosecution is going to bring them in later in the trial to verify, right? One thing you really want to do with a witness like this, the defense is going to say that she's embellishing. They might say she's lying, but that's going to be a little hard to do with that video, right? They can't just say she's a liar, but they're going to say she's exaggerating, she's embellishing, they're painting it a certain way because of the case. So you have to bring in these corroborating witnesses and whatever other corroborating evidence you have to verify what it is she's saying. So it would be very useful, for example, if she says, yes, David James came around to check on me on behalf of Mr. Combs, and then David James takes the stand and says, yes, I did that.
Yeah.
That would be helpful.
Things took a darker turn as Cassie described increasingly graphic and disturbing acts she claims occurred during the so-called freak-offs. At one point, she alleged that Diddy, or someone acting under his direction, urinated on her. When asked if she had consented, Cassie responded that it was degrading, humiliating, and something she clearly did not want. She emphasized how disgusted she felt and how powerless she was in the moment. However, when pressed further on whether she ever explicitly said no, she admitted she didn't voice a clear objection. This admission opens the door for the defense to argue that there was no use of force or explicit refusal, an angle they are almost certain to exploit in hopes of casting doubt. The blurred lines of verbal consent, fear, and coercion are now central to what will be a heated courtroom battle.
That immediately, the moment she opened her mouth, you could see that Combs was listening intently to everything that she has to say, as well as those jurors. People know that she was that star witness, the key person in all of this. When you think about that civil suit that came out in 2023, that was settled the day after, she really is the person that connects all the dots. When you look at the indictment and you look at some of the charges, she's the one talking about the freak-offs and what was involved and how she had to act. The prosecution is asking her questions to show that she wasn't in control. She said that Sean Combs directed everything from what she had on to the lighting in the room to how she was supposed to interact with the person that she was having sex with. And again, just to reiterate what is a freak-off, the freak-off essentially was something that Cassie said she learned about through Sean Combs about a year into their relationship. He described it as voyeurism, wanting to watch her have sex with someone else. And she said that she did it because she was 22, 21, she was young, she didn't know any better, and that she wanted to please Sean Combs.
And at some point in time, she actually had said that she looked forward to the freak-offs. Why did Cassie express looking forward to these said freak-offs?
When the prosecution asked her, was there ever a time that you enjoyed the freak-offs? This is when Cassie got choked up and she said, I did, but only because I got to spend one-on-one time with Combs, and I really did love him.
And that is speaking to the psychological abuse, in addition to the physical abuse that she potentially experienced as well.
She's definitely laying out someone who was young, who was influenced by wanting to have this record career. She signed a 10-album deal with Bad Boy Entertainment, led by Sean Combs, and basically describes being enamored by Sean Combs, loving him, not knowing about certain things actually, and him sort of telling her, teaching her about that. And what you hear is someone that was young and she even said, you know, I was young, I was naive, I didn't know.
Cassie then shifted to accounts of physical abuse, detailing multiple incidents where Diddy allegedly beat her so severely she had to hide in hotels for days, fearing for her safety. A pivotal moment, the 2016 incident at the Intercontinental Hotel, was revisited in court. According to Cassie, she attempted to leave a freak-off early, prompting Diddy to explode in anger. She claims he struck her and then violently threw her to the ground near an elevator. That specific moment, already seen in a viral video from years ago, took on a deeper, more chilling meaning today as it was re-examined in the courtroom. The visual evidence, once considered shocking, now carries the added weight of Cassie's testimony, offering a disturbing glimpse into what she describes as a pattern of control, violence, and fear. Her account painted a clearer picture of long-term trauma that prosecutors hope will leave a lasting impression on jurors.
The 38-year-old singer said to get emotional on the stand as the prosecution brought up this security footage CNN uncovered of Diddy beating Cassie in a hotel.
Many people have seen that 2016 video of Sean Combs assaulting his then girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. And the defense said, listen, what you witnessed was wrong. It was inhumane. It was horrible. But that was domestic violence. And they said that is not criminal enterprise. That is not rap. But both sides sort of making those compelling arguments and opening statements that for the prosecution, that he is guilty, for the defense obviously saying that he's not guilty of these crimes that he's alleged.
Then came a chilling turn in the proceedings. Cassie's testimony drew direct and unsettling comparisons to the late Kim Porter, Diddy's former partner and the mother of 3 of his children. Cassie claimed that Porter, too, had been preparing to reveal damaging secrets about Diddy shortly before her sudden and still controversial death. Porter's name echoed through the courtroom, casting a heavy silence over those present. The striking parallels between the 2 women, both intimately tied to Diddy, both allegedly subjected to abuse, sent an undeniable wave of unease through the room. Cassie's suggestion that these actions might reflect a repeated, disturbing pattern rather than isolated incidents introduced a powerful new dimension to the case. It raised questions not just about individual moments of alleged abuse, but about a broader, more sinister cycle of control, fear, and silencing. Prosecutors appeared to seize on the moment, sensing its potential impact on the jury's perception.
There was a guy called John Paperwork, the Paperwork Party. They would put in an open petition to get Kim's case reopened. You understand what I'm saying? So I'll be sure doing this is showing that, you know, he still got love for Quincy's mother. He still want to find out the truth because allegedly Kim was fine the day before and the day of her death. And then now she found in the bed dead from pneumonia. That just don't sound right, bro. That don't sound right at all.
So you feel the same way about her death being suspect?
I don't think nobody in America think it's nothing suspicious about Kim's death, bro. If you are rich like that, you could, you know, Kim had, I think a net worth of like, what, 12 million a year or something like that? Kim could have called any doctor to come over and look at her. If she was that bad, you know, she could have called an ambulance or something like that. Everything is suspicious about her death, bruh. And I don't think an autopsy was done on her. And if it was a half job.
You personally, right? What do you think happened to Kim Porter?
If I say something personal, bro, and my belief, and I put it on to the public, then I might be like.
Prosecutors are now seeking to present one of the alleged freak-off videos to the jury, potentially explosive and deeply unsettling visual evidence that could dramatically alter the course of the trial. Diddy's legal team is pushing back forcefully, arguing that showing the video would be highly prejudicial and inflame public opinion. They are adamant that neither the media nor the general public should gain access to it, citing concerns over privacy, context, and potential misinterpretation. As of now, the judge has not ruled on whether the footage will be admitted. The contents of the video remain a mystery. No one outside a select few knows exactly what it reveals, or whether it clearly demonstrates coercion or abuse. Still, prosecutors argue that it is crucial to understanding the power dynamics and fear involved. If allowed, the video could reshape the jury's entire perception of the case, bringing a raw, visual element to what has so far been emotionally charged but primarily verbal testimony. Its impact could be immediate, visceral, and possibly irreversible.
These freak-offs orchestrated. So Cassie kind of walked the jury through what her role was in the freak-offs and how she said that Combs had choreographed them. He was the director in charge. And what she described was that these freak-offs lasted from 36 to 72 hours. The longest one, she said, lasted 4 days. And through that period, she said her role had evolved from initially Combs setting up the first one to then it becoming essentially her job. These freak-offs, she said, were occurring weekly. And what she was responsible for was finding these escorts, using Craigslist, some of these other escort services, helping them travel to certain locations from Miami to Ibiza, to New York, to LA, to Las Vegas. And that she worked with Combs's business travel people in order to move people around, saying that they would project that they were potential employers and getting them to move. But she said that he had everything to do with what she was wearing. She said she would buy outfits from sex shops and see which one he wanted her to wear. And then inside the actual hotel rooms, their apartments where the freak-offs took place, she said that Combs was in charge of lighting. It began with candles. It then moved to studio lighting, that he was directing how they moved from each action of each act in these freak-offs, and even the amount of baby oil that they were wearing. She said that he wanted them to be glistening, and so he would often encourage them to put on more.
Prosecutors delivered several major blows in court today, presenting emotionally charged testimony and compelling narratives that painted a harrowing picture of Diddy's alleged actions. Cassie's words were powerful and disturbing, portraying a world of fear, manipulation, and control. Yet, despite the emotional weight, the case is far from airtight. Significant gaps remain: missing direct evidence, questions around consent, and moments of silence that the defense is poised to challenge. They will likely argue that emotional testimony cannot substitute for hard proof. Now, the burden falls on the jury to weigh whether Diddy truly weaponized fear and power to dominate women behind closed doors, or if reasonable doubt still lingers. The lack of definitive physical evidence could sway undecided minds. One thing is certain: this trial is far from over, and the courtroom remains a battleground where truth, perception, and strategy collide. The coming days promise even more intensity as both sides prepare for a high-stakes showdown.